Hello, guys. Welcome to Chasing a Murderer Talking News, guys. You know what? Today I was actually looking through what I usually do in the mornings for updates on any of the cases that we cover or if there's some new stories that we should be aware of. And I do a lot of work that's not on videos, where I collect a lot of the missing people and stories and organize them in my notes just in case. I have a huge notebook on just endless stories of missing people who have been murdered, all these things. Then the story pops up and it's coming out of Texas. And I thought to myself, after watching this video that they shared with us, oh my God, imagine how scary that would be to have this happen to you. And thank God that there were two guys there right beside her that day. And you're like, what are you talking about? So let's run this tape. 41-year-old attorney Gavin Rush walks into the spa to talk to his ex-girlfriend. We're not going to use her name. So it is said that they had recently broke up. She worked at the spa in Austin, Texas. It appears that he's quite upset with her for at least a moment or two. He throws something on the counter. Then these two guys beside him, they're listening and they can tell it's not a comfortable situation. The guy in the white t-shirt seemed to be expecting this to happen because he was quick. Gavin pulls out a gun and these two guys pull him down. You can see his ex-girlfriend dodge to the left and then take off for the back. So let's watch it once more. So here he is. He's setting it on the counter. And you watch his right hand and you can see it start to pull or reach into this, whatever it is. Looks like a book holder. Then pulls out that what looks like a gun. After these two guys tackle him, take him down to the ground, he was arrested and taken to jail. But here's the thing. He was released on a $40,000 bond. And somehow this video hit the media. People started talking, and the concerns become not only did he get out of jail after making such a threat to his ex-girlfriend, it was very evident he was in a mental crisis of some kind. He was threatening people with a dangerous weapon. Media sources said they were concerned of whether or not he was going to get a fair trial if this got out to the public, and they started making their accusations as to what happened. What a lot of people didn't realize was they didn't need to worry about him getting out, at least for her sake. Sadly, it was around 4:30 in the evening, a few days later, that police are called for a welfare check for this attorney. And that welfare check did not end up well. In fact, they find the guy dead. So definitely this guy was in some sort of mental crisis. So what we're learning is they had a 3-year relationship that ended about a month and a half before this happened. We're being told that he wanted to get back together with his ex-girlfriend, but she refused. Police say that he sent several texts threatening to harm her and her new partner. So another domestic violence case seems to be a lot of them these days. So according to a few news reports, a customer inside this bar says that Rush actually tried to aim the gun at his head at one point, but he was prevented from reaching the trigger. How did this come out? Well, apparently, Austin City Council member posted a surveillance video of this incident. So which pub was this happening at? According to the affidavit, police received a family disturbance call from Anderson Mill Pub off Anderson Mill Road and Spicewood Parkway around 11:37 a.m. They're saying November 29th. And after he had texted his ex-girlfriend multiple times, she refused to answer after telling him that she was at work. Ladies never do this. They believe at that point he decided to head to her workplace and then confront her there. I can't imagine how scary this must have been, but luckily there were people there to actually pay attention to what was happening around them instead of try to pretend they didn't see it. Sometimes it pays to be a Karen, y'all. Now, before he had actually ended his life, there were people, well, media reporters reaching out to the law firm where Rush worked. The firm responded with, Gavin Rush no longer works at the firm. We do not tolerate hatred or violence of any kind. Our thoughts are with the victims who experienced a significant trauma that day. So before we actually close out, let's talk a little bit about this. What seemed to be going on? Well, it appeared that he was definitely in some sort of mental crisis. Something he knew that he was going through that he probably should have sought help for, but most likely was too embarrassed to do so. And there are far too many incidents like this today, all stimulating from these type of mental crisis where people just don't know where to go, where to turn. He wanted to control the situation. He wanted her back in his life. Why? Because he was not okay without her. His logic in dealing with this was just not there. And I believe that we need to start offering and recognizing people in these situations the help they need to prevent these type of things. Because now his whole life is destroyed. He's not even living any longer. She's traumatized. And if he had lived through this and had to go through, um, the court system for what he did, well, his life was going to be as if he were dead. So, I mean, really, it was a complete horrific event for both of these people. So you had this guy going through something most people do not understand, and a woman that evidently recognized some warning signs or something she didn't like about him. She was trying to get away from it. And so I think we do need to offer some assistance and teach people to recognize the warning signs to prevent these things. All you have to do is Google online, and all these help options supposedly pop up. But I've done some research, and here's the problem. According to people who do try or attempt to call these people, a lot of times they're not available at the time that they need them. So it's just a really sad story. I wanted to share it with you guys, and also kind of give a tip that if you're ever in a relationship like this where somebody's being this persistent to get a hold of you, and you know that they have strange behaviors, well, you need to not tell them where you are. Think before you, do take any actions, especially with relationships like this that are on the rocker. I mean, this is scary. Guys, don't forget, Dulce is still missing. She went missing from New Jersey, playing at a park. Supposedly, her mother was sitting in the car watching her and her toddler brother playing at the park and eating ice cream. The next thing the mother realizes is a toddler, her small son, was crying, and they go to look for Dulce, and she's nowhere to be found. Now, police have released this sketch, though they don't have any information, not much at all, as to who might have taken this child. It is suspected that she was abducted, and they talked about orange shoes at the beginning, and they talked about a red van. So check out her story, share it on one of your true crime groups, anything. Happy Friday, everybody. Have a good weekend. Love you guys. See you guys soon.